Greetings, everyone. Welcome to Tokusatsu Now, the podcast designed to onboard new fans to the incredible genre that is Tokusatsu, as well as offer a deep dive to long-standing watchers of various Tokusatsu series. My name is Tom Caswell, and I am joined by two of my co-hosts today. We have Eric Francisco and Mike Williams. How are you lads doing?
I'm doing well.
Good.
It's a nice day for me.
It's a nice day for you, but of snow happening here up on the northeast part of America.
But I'm keeping toasting and warm, and I hope everyone listening is also toasting and warm wherever you guys are, even if it's LA or whatever. I don't know.
I mean, they're definitely toasting warm over there.
I'm right on the edge, so where I am in the DC metro area, we just got cold rain.
Fun. I love some cold rain.
Yeah.
All right, lads. Well, today is a pretty cool day because the press conference for Super Space Sheriff Gavan Infinity wrapped up last night for us here in the States, but it was Sunday morning in Japan. And we got a whole host of new information. We finally got to look at our cast. But one of the interesting things I want to kick off with before we jump into all the details that were announced is the fact that still, and I'm almost now convinced that this is going to be the case, there's still no simulcast information for Gavan Infinity. As of now, it seems to be following the traditional broadcast model that the series that preceded it, Super Sentai, followed, which is that it is just going to be broadcast in Japan, and there will be no opportunities for us to watch it legally outside of Japan. Even the press conference itself was region locked to Japan. You had to use a VPN if you were outside of Japan if you wanted to watch the press conference, which is really bizarre considering everything that we've heard is that they've wanted to pull, they've wanted to kickstart this Project Red and, do this whole refresh so they aren't limited in the same ways they were limited by the broadcasting opportunities they had with Super Sentai, which obviously were very limited with the whole Power Rangers of it all. And so, yeah, seems like it isn't going to be simulcast, or at the very least, they're still working out the details there. What are you guys' thoughts on whether we're going to see this broadcast outside of Japan?
I will say that they have official translations on all three of the trailers. So we didn't get the press conference, but we did get if you go to Toei Tokusatsu World Official, they have the latest trailer up there with official English subtitles. I assume official subtitles for other languages, which feels like a decent amount of work for something that you are not going to be bringing to those regions in some fashion. So I something has to happen. I assume they're just working out what exactly that's going to be.
That's exactly my thoughts too. It just sounds like they haven't finalized or the ink hasn't dried yet on certain contracts, so they're not ready to be all in just yet. But it feels like just a matter of time. That's all.
It's very interesting, just considering that we knew from pretty much the jump that Kamen Rider Zets was going to be simulcast for months and months before that show aired, and we are now less than a month away from this show coming out. So the turnaround on it is, I don't know. If I was making a bet, it sounds like you guys are still of the mind that this is going to be streamed outside of Japan. I would honestly take the bet that it's not going to be. 2026 will find new ways to disappoint me, and this might be one of them.
If it's not, well, I probably don't expect the red carpet that like Zets has gotten, but probably there's a distribution deal in place. Like maybe once the show has aired in at least its first season, maybe we'll get immediately like a Blu-ray release of some kind or some sort
certainly.
of VOD. Yeah.
I'm sure that there will be an opportunity to legally watch it outside of Japan at some point, even some point soon. I don't think it would necessarily be like, all right, we have to wait years for the Blu-ray release. Like, yeah, maybe it comes to a streaming service after the fact, but the week to week episodes, the kind of like live streaming broadcasts that they do every Saturday night for Zets, I don't know. It just doesn't seem so far that it's in the cards, but I guess we still technically do have a little bit of time for that information to come out. There's still tons of information about the show, even though we have a bunch of new info from this press conference. There's still a lot that we also don't know. So, yeah, hopefully we get that information soon, or at least confirmation whether or not it's happening. Either way, whether it is going to be a simulcast or not. Okay, so let's jump into it. I have even prepared a presentation format so you guys can kind of see images and we can work our way through each of these announcements here. Okay, cool. So this is our protagonist of the show. This is the actor is Kohei Nagata, and the character is Reiji Doki, and this is Gavan Infinity. Now, one of the kind of, I used the word MacGuffin in the notes, but it's not necessarily. Oh, I didn't. I removed it because it isn't a MacGuffin. But the whole kind of theme of the show is around emotions. So the emotion that is tied up with Gavan is anger, and supposedly Reiji has anger issues. Also, Reiji, seemingly a pun on the English word rage.
And his last name is Doki, which is the beating heart. So,
oh, gotcha.
So he's just a full
raging
pun.
heart.
Yes,
he's all heart. Yeah,
all heart. So this is Gavan. They're playing Gavan Infinity, and they will partner up. This is a multiverse story. We are getting a multiverse story now from the show, which is an interesting time to be releasing them, considering the exhaustive multiverse stories that we have across other genres that Tokusatsu is related to. But they're leaning into it, and yeah, it's good. There's emoji, which is the emotional energy that is causing these kind of incidents. Apparently, the emotions tied up in criminals will transform them. There's aliens involved as well. The details are a little bit foggy on exactly the intricate details of how all of this works, but basically, Gavan is going to be traveling the multiverse to kind of investigate and resolve these Emorgia incidents. The Earth that Gavan is from, they all have designations. The primary one that Infinity is from is Alpha 0073. He has a couple of obviously support characters, which is very traditional for Tokusatsu. He has Colonel Daisuke Date, who is actually not originally, from the information I can gather, not originally from Earth A0073, and is from like a parallel Earth that's near identical, but he isn't from that dimension. This character is portrayed by Arihiro Matsunaga. And in fact, we'll skip. This is the guy on the left in this image here, and has seemingly, how he got into Earth Alpha 0073, we don't know, but apparently has been there for a while because also was in the Academy for the Galactic Federation Police, which is the organization that Gavan Infinity is a part of, and yeah, is like kind of like Academy buddies with Reiji. Did you see any more concrete details on exactly this character and where they're from, Mike, or is it kind of nebulous of like they're from a parallel Earth, they're not from this Earth?
Just nebulous. We're working on the same sources, which seem to be Twitter stuff, or like official
a mix of
press
Twitter,
release stuff.
some translations from the TV Asahi, which is the broadcaster in Japan, from their site as well, which the translations aren't that great. Just considering that we're using a lot of like proper nouns and everything. So
Is
yeah.
is sorry, is A0073 a reference to anything, like a nod to like when like Gavan aired in '82? So like do
Sure.
we know if it's any kind of like quick nod or Easter egg or homage to the genre history?
Not that I could
Not,
find. We'll
not that
see.
I know of.
It's just a jumble of letters and numbers. Okay, cool.
Yeah. Maybe we'll find out more specifically. I mean, it seems that all of the Earths have the kind of the letter designation and then four digits following that. And seemingly we're going to see way more than just the three primary Earths of the main Gavans that we've been introduced to so far. So yeah, we'll see what the details of why those designations are the way they are.
I will say it's kind of common, right? Or just so for you brought up the emoji, emotional energy, that we are using the same. They're using the same powers as whatever leads to the villains, which is very common, right? Or to me, and not
Yes.
as much Sentai. Sentai sometimes uses the same powers as the villains, but a lot of the times it's like here's one power source for our heroes and the villains are something else.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely very common, right? Coded, especially with like the transformation devices and like the the Emor gear, which are the capsules that we'll see in the trailer, which will end this presentation with. Yeah, it is very Kamen Rider coded for numerous reasons, but that in particular as well is an interesting little connection there. So we have Daisuke on the left. We have AGI, which yes stands for stands for Artificial General Intelligence. Can't help themselves leading into that current aspect of modern life. So AGI is the woman on the right here, and it is an AI machine that can also turn into particles and like infect machinery, seemingly. The actor is Kohan Arasaka, and that is the other kind of support character forming this little team here. Then we have Rakia Wanabuchi, who is also part of the Galactic Federation Police's first investigative division, which is not the same kind of division within the GFP as the other characters that we just mentioned. Their robot partner on the right is Patran, which this is a very Sentai. This is Sentai coded right here, having like a robot partner.
Also, very '80s metal hero coded. Like this, like if you look
Sure.
at like Winston,
Kabutak and stuff like that.
Kabutak, yeah. Love that. This is seemingly a robot from another planet. Hyakto. And yep, that's their robot partner. Kabutak, that's what it was reminding me of. Thank you for saying that name, because it was really bothering me earlier. I was like, why does this look so familiar? And Reiji Rikia, the character here, is unaware of Reiji's identity. So that was something that was kind of unclear from everything I could see from all the various translations I was reading. But it seems that Reiji, Daisuke, and AGI are kind of operating separately from the GFP. Them doing their multiversal travel and like finding these Emorgia incidents is not necessarily their jurisdiction. But they're kind of secretly within the GFP operating. And Rakia is a character they obviously interact with, but is unaware of their this like side project essentially they've got going on. And then we have, in fact, I think I put him at the end here. Yeah, so this is the director of the GFP's Earth branch. Carol Com Vigilis, portrayed by Yuta Hiraoka, who is actually a pretty uh, famous actor in Japan. And he is supporting Reiji and the team. He is aware of him being Gavan Infinity. There's even a quote on the website that basically points to Carol believing that Reiji is the only one who can like save the multiverse or whatever. Again, very nebulous details. We also get a little tease in the trailer, which we'll see later, of another Gavan, not Bushido or Luminous, but Gavan Death, as is being penned by the internet. I don't know if anyone got that name officially from somewhere, but there was a toy leak about a week ago that turned out to be
it's
real.
rumored that there's the fourth Gavan is Black, Gavan Death. And it looked like the tease that shows briefly in the trailer is of that character.
Yeah, it definitely matches the toy leak. And putting two and two together, people are thinking that this character is Gavan Death, which very, very kind of Kamen Rider and Super Sentai coded to have like the leader of the organization also be this mysterious additional character. That's something that both of the shows kind of have.
The shot there is nicer than what he appears in the trailer. The trailer definitely gives off either going to be a villain or secretly more into the space cop thing than fully than originally. He gives villainous energy in the trailer.
100%. 100%.
His middle name.
He's the top cop.
Yeah, he's the top cop. His middle name is Quam, which means he's potentially related to Commander Quam from the first Gavan, who was a similar role in terms of like being Gavan's superior and stuff, like the chief.
Right. Did they turn out to be a villain in the end?
I forget, actually. I don't think so, but
okay.
He's got the same energy. There's one of the Ultramans had that where it turned out to be an older villain, but still not necessarily antagonist. But again, that's why I say the second option is maybe he's not a villain, but maybe he's just a little bit too deep into the cop mindset. Probably gonna go like a little too hard. I expect an episode where it's like the Amorgia isn't that bad now. It's like, no, we got to take him down.
He's addicted to the Amorgia.
Yeah.
Okay, so that does it for all of the Alpha 0073 characters. Next we have Lambda 8018. Come on down. Right. I did it in the wrong order. Okay, yeah, so here we go. This character is Setsuna Aikokuin, and is Gavan Bushido. The actor is Ryuga Akahane. So this is Gavan Bushido, the silver and blue. There's a little blue in there. Gavan from a different Earth, this one being Lambda 8018. And this character is actually an android built for war and has been alive for thousands of years. And their emotion is sadness. And the fun detail here is that they are sad because they cannot cry. They literally cannot produce tears. And so this is an interesting character where it's seemingly going to be them kind of learning about human emotion and kind of discovering human emotion. And so, yep, that's Gavan Bushido, Setsuna. And unlike Reiji and the characters in Earth A0073, This character is also a part of the GFP. There seems to be a GFP in every universe, whether they're interconnected or separate. Kind of jury's out on that detail, but they are from the security division, right, of their universe's GFP, rather than like the material science division that seemingly Reiji and all the other characters are a part of in the other Earth. And this is the other character from that universe, Rue Amo, Setsuna's superior, portrayed by Anna Iriyama. I believe this person is actually like a J-pop star, and a model, like a pretty extensive
Yeah, she's the other second
popularity.
like popular like known person in the cast.
Mm-hmm. So they are Setsuna's superior, and supposedly they look like someone from Setsuna's past that gave him his name, but Ryui here is completely unaware of that fact. I'm sure we'll get flashbacks where she plays that character in the past. That's pretty quintessential Sentai. There with I'm sure her being a descendant of this character from Setsuna's past from thousands of years ago. So that is the team based in Lambda 8018. And then finally, we have Kiki Iwai, who is Gavan Luminous, the actor being Kokona Sumi, or maybe it's Sumi Kokona. I might have gotten the first and last name switched around there. But this person's emotion is joy. And they're part of the forensic division in their universe's GFP. And they have an otaku nature, as TV Asahi's website describes it. So they're fun and bubbly and full of joy. Their Earth is Iota 5109. And yeah, they transform into Gavan Luminous, which is a interesting little, although I guess they kind of get, my colorblindness maybe makes this hard to see, but kind of like with Bushido, who has the mainly silver and then gradient into blue. Here we have primarily gold, but then we're getting into like an orange, even kind of like a red, right?
Gavan actually has that too. If you go back, if they have a
it's
shot,
silver, right? Red to
he
silver.
goes into silver. So they all have a primary color, and then the feet and arms and extremities are the a different gradient. So Gavan goes red to silver, Bushido is silver to blue, and she is like gold to like a bronzish orange, something like that. This one was interesting because until like when it was just the trailer, like they showed Gavan Luminous, but they showed her and her partner together.
Yes, in the trailer.
So for a hot second, like people were like, "Are they both Gavan Luminous? Is it like a double situation? Or they both use the item?" But no, as far as we can tell from the information that was released subsequently, she is the Gavan, and the partner, who, when you get to that slide, looks more like the action person, is really supposed to represent the space sheriff like partner, like the full like in combat action. Usually in the old ones it was an action lady, and that's what her partner is meant to evoke.
Yeah, I wonder if I mean, we've talked about the portrayal of women in these shows. It was really funny when it came to that slide, and I was like, oh, so she doesn't get her own, she doesn't get her own section in the trailer. She's got to share it with her partner. I wonder if also like maybe there's some fun thing where like they do switch off of Luminous. Maybe we are being sold a kind of, maybe she isn't actually Luminous and that's a cover or something like that. I did think it was interesting, and I don't think it was just because they're sexist that they had them share a single screen. And of course, as you mentioned, yeah, let's even jump into that character now while we're
Oh,
here. Yeah, go ahead.
before we do, I just want to say that this to me is where the most Sentai influence is coming from. They're covering both the primary colors, red, blue, yellow, but also covering their bases with the Sixth Ranger trope. So lots of silver, lots of gold. This to
Hmm.
me just feels like the most direct lineage from the Super Sentai franchise into Gavan. They're kind of, I don't know. They're kind of just touching their bases with the secondary characters, if you want to call them that.
Yeah,
It just feels like they're filling out a mini proto team for Sentai using both Six Ranger rules and also just primary team core rules.
yeah, and every time, honestly, I look at these suits, I just love them more and more. I think the design of this show is just killer. And I think I don't know. I don't have a favorite. I think they all look really good, and the fact that, yeah, as you mentioned, Eric, they kind of lean into silver and gold, which are classic Sixth Ranger colors in Sentai. Um, to have them be kind of the 2 and 3,
Yeah,
members, and then also, okay, we're also putting the splashes of the more primary colors, the blue, this kind of, I don't know, orange. I don't know. It's interesting what color they chose to go with here. But yeah, so that is Luminous, and then yes, her partner here, as we mentioned in the trailer, which we're going to take a look at the end of this presentation. This is her partner, Kotobuki Takanari, portrayed by Rana Tanida. And they've been best friends for a long, long time. And this is Kotobuki is kind of the straight man, more of the straight laced, knows martial arts, is the no nonsense character at comparative to Kiki's kind of goofier
Yeah,
self.
yeah. Like I said, she seems to be a redo and sort of an improvement on. Uh, Gavan had a partner, Mimi. Um, there was a lady that was with Scheider. I forget her name, but usually the original Space Sheriff group, each of them usually had like a female, not full counterpart Space Sheriff, but like a partner,
Mm-hmm.
and she looks to be sort of a modern take on that, in that she is probably the more combat ready and combat savvy. We see her doing combat stuff in the trailer, uh, and she's the action support, as opposed to the other Gavans who have, more the standard, like, man in the chair,
Mm-hmm.
or captain type character.
Okay, so we're going to jump into the trailer to go over some of these additional details here. So this is the trailer that opened the press conference, as Mike alluded to. The trailer has English subtitles on it, so they are aware that English speaking audiences are going to be checking it out. And so the opening of the trailer is in this kind of desolate Inception style, kind of, with the city on top and the bottom, this kind of post-apocalyptic city. It's also shown later in the trailer with Gavan Bushido in there. But someone online referred to this as potentially being the Maku space, which I guess is a reference not to Gavan, but like another space sheriff season. Are you familiar with this at all, Mike?
Well, the first villains in Gavan itself is the Maku Empire.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's
Okay.
the the um the alien force that is coming to Earth, that Gavan has to protect Earth from. It's the Maku Empire, and Maku, spaceships and aliens are attacking. So maybe this is
The
the
equivalent.
remains of that civilization, and
Mm-hmm.
perhaps why they are once again reaching out to other realities to save their own. And perhaps this is where Gavan Death comes from.
Very
Who
possible.
knows?
It looks like death. It doesn't look. Very very pleasant. So yeah, maybe that is ultimately like the show might like tie into some of those aspects from the original show. But so we get this tease of this kind of weird city wasteland cityscape, and then we see this is the Cosmo Gavarian. So that is the name of the ship. Now, what's interesting is we have the main ship, which can also transform into a mecha, but we also have other ships appearing as well, which also have these modifications to them that line up with weapons that we've seen in some of the magazine scans. So there's a drill, there's a sword, a crane, and a laser. And now it's like Gavarian trigger, which is the name of the main henshin device and the gun that they use. Gavarian drill, Gavarian crane. And so these don't seem to be modifications for the primary Cosmo Gavarian ship. These seem to be their own ships and maybe from the other dimensions. It's very unclear right now how all of this works. Any additional details on this that you're aware of? Like,
Not that I know of. They seem to be some sort of, like I said, additional mecha that probably, um, uh, attached to the thing. I'm still trying to figure out. I don't think they've specifically said it, but it looks like the ship is also similar to the trigger that they use to change.
yes, it
So I
looks
assume
very
that's supposed to
similar.
be
Yeah.
that the play pattern there, in that you have
Got to remember the
a
play patterns.
yes, you have the the trigger that they use as a weapon, as a gun, but is also in fact transforms into the ship, which also transforms into Cosmo Gavarian
Yeah.
GCR, which is the robot itself.
Which is also interesting considering that they pretty much with Gozuja did a similar thing where the transformation device was the hand gauntlet, and that also was the Tega sword, which was the robos that they operate in that show. So
Yeah,
maybe they did find some success in that design of making the transformation device also the mecha. And considering everything that we've chatted about, regarding play patterns and the toyetic nature of these shows, it makes sense for there to be this kind of multifunctional thing where it's like, oh, I'm not just getting the transformation device, I am also getting the mecha as well. We do not have toy details. Those might be coming. By the time this episode airs, we might actually have had some toy details, rumors being that we're going to get that soon. But that's honestly where we get the bulk of the information of kind of the mechanics of the show, is when the toys ultimately get revealed. So yeah, whether these are all individual ships that transform into their own robots, or whether they become attachments for Cosmo Gavarian GCR, which is the name of the main mecha, time will tell. But we do not have that information as of now. I'm going backwards in time. All right, forwards. Okay, so here we go. Some great shots here. I continue to kind of be very impressed with the aesthetics of this show. My concerns of them overly relying on using something like the volume tech seem to be unfounded, because we're getting so much, in camera, and on actual set.
yeah. I mean,
On
it's definitely there. The volume, like you can tell the where the support characters, when
no
we get
hang
to those
out, yeah.
shots, the support characters hang out in the volume with extra set dressing.
So we have a quick shot here of Bushido. We have a shot of Luminous in their various Earths. Also, the kind of the atmosphere color coded to them. Here we seem to have the command center within the Cosmo Gavarian, which, as you mentioned, is very much a volume digital background with they just put a desk and a chair.
Yeah, if it's not, it's just a giant green screen, one of the two. But yeah,
don't forget that Tokusatsu at its heart is trying to find a way to spend the least amount of money as possible.
1,000.
Never forget, and that's why we love it.
yeah. There was a Reddit thread that was like, "Why is the CGI so cheap?" And it was like, they don't get to stop. Like they have to keep doing episodes in CG every day.
Yeah.
So like, no, it's quick. That's the whole point. Is scrappy.
And it's become kind of part of the charm as well, and it is. I think there's also like a nostalgic element to it because it just like hasn't changed since they started implementing the technology. It looks exactly the same as it does 20 years ago for the most part. Okay, and then and also that means they can use the budget on the things that actually matter when it comes to like the action and the set pieces. So we have this shot here of Gavan Infinity, looking dope as hell. I just think that color red is awesome. We get a bit of a logo, and then we get into like a really quick kind of montage of all the characters. We see Reiji here doing a jumping maneuver, and we get his screen. So there he is. He's holding the Gavan trigger, and yeah, come on now. That's just the Cosmo Gavarian in toy form.
There's one shot where he he's running with it, and one of the legs is out, and I assume that's meant to be some sort of reloading or something like that. But I was like, oh, that's just the toy of the Cosmo Gavarian.
1,000%. So Reiji Doki, there we go, looking angry. Here as well, we have Satsuna, I believe, is the character's name. Yes, Satsuna. Gavan Bushido. So this, it makes sense that he's 1,000 years old. He's basically a samurai from, I guess, thousands of years prior on this earth. Satsuna Ikokuian, Gavan Bushido. And then, yes, here we go. We have the forensics division of the GFP on Earth Iota 5109, but couldn't be bothered to just give her own screen. They have to share it. And okay, so here we have some of the action. So we have these two characters, Kiki and Kotobuki, in a playground setting, and then we have some action. And this is the first time we're seeing, now she's just fighting seemingly kind of basic grunts. This guy has a gun in his hand. It kind of looks a little bit like the Gavarian trigger, just without the legs, just kind of like the middle section of it. And seemingly just fighting grunts at this point, but we do see a lot of human villains in this show, and that in this trailer, and in addition to a full costumed monster. But it definitely seems that a lot of the enemies they're going to be fighting are actually just going to be humans, which is something that, I mean, Gozyuja has some, actual human villains, but like for a long time, there were huge complaints within the Sentai community that we were just getting costumed monsters and not having human villains. And this show seems to be going the opposite direction, which, I mean, it makes sense if you're, one of the production costs is manufacturing these suits. If they lean just into guys in black, in a blazer, in this black suit, then they can keep some costs down.
You raised something interesting to me because, I mean, like, as I admit, I don't pay close attention to the toy lines, but I don't think Bandai Japan releases a lot of monster figures. In America, And like from Bandai to Hasbro, you could buy a lot of monsters for your Power Rangers to fight. Whereas
Hmm.
Sentai, as closely as I remember, I don't really see a lot of monster figures. So like when it comes to kids collecting, it's fascinating that they stuck so much to having the Rangers fight monsters on screen when, if you want to think about it toy wise, what are the kids playing their Power Ranger their Super Sentai figures with? It's fascinating that they stuck to having monsters on screen be the fodder so much when they don't really sell monster toys to begin with.
Yeah, seemingly the only tokusatsu that leans into selling the monsters is Ultraman, right? Like, there's plenty of kaiju that they sell in various different forms as toys, but Kamen Rider doesn't have. I mean, they have, I guess, the Evil Riders, which is a huge part of that show. Um, but yeah, it'll be fascinating. I kind of honestly, like, I'm never usually excited for the toy news, but considering how much information is tied up in that with this show, I'm very excited to get my hands on that information. But no, you're right. We Sentai never really leaned into the toy nature of any of the monsters that it makes, and it'll be interesting to see the balance that this show tries to strike with its enemies. How much, because we don't actually see a lot of. That's something that's interesting is, I kind of expected to see a lot more like this, the Gavans fighting each other, but there's almost none of that. In fact, there might not be any of that in this trailer. But let's continue. Let's see what we got next. We got more Kiki doing her investigation, her forensics investigation here, looking real happy at this. I don't even know what she is looking at there, some alien foam. And yes, here we go. They share a screen, and which heavily implies that they are both I want to say Kamen Rider Luminous,
Yeah,
Gavan Luminous, but I guess not.
yeah. Like I said, I think it felt like that because when they said Gavan Luminous, they showed both of them, and they both get the one screen. But after reading the stuff, it seems like the other lady is probably just a new version of an existing space sheriff trope, and maybe unlike the rest of their support staff, maybe she'll is more elevated. Like basically, whenever Kiki is there
Hmm.
as Gavan Luminous, her partner is always there. So like,
And that's something that we yeah, some of the information we have gleaned is that only people who interact with or have can utilize the emoji are able to traverse and like step foot on different earths. So for example, Daisuke, the character who's from the parallel earth and like went to the academy with Reiji, this character on the left, he cannot. One of the big things is he wants to be able to kind of like go visit these alternate earths, but he is unable to because he's not tapped into the energy. And so yeah, does that mean that Kiki's partner is able to also, come out on missions? And are these characters leaving their Earths? Is it just Gavan coming to their planet? I don't know. I'm really fascinated to how the logistics of all of this works. But seemingly she'll be very much more involved in the action, considering that she is described to be, a martial artist and like proficient in weapon training and such. But as far as it's explained, just Kiki is Kamen Rider Luminous, despite them sharing this screen. So yeah, more shots of the support staff here. There you go, very volume background. We've got Daisuke here, and then AGI. Uh, Here we go. We have the cop character of Rakia and his robot sidekick Patran. Uh,
and I'm guessing what they're going to be. This is another probably closer. Kamen Rider tends to have more of these. The extra guys, this is probably the dudes who get into hijinks and go into each of the different Earths first. And it's like, hey, guess what, Gavan, whichever one I'm talking to right now, there's something weird happening over there. Oops, I fell over. Let's make a joke, Patron, and then they go away.
Yeah.
But, they're always around, but mostly for information or hijinks.
Yeah, and obviously that they are unfamiliar of kind of Reiji's identity as Gavan Infinity. So yeah, seemingly, despite being, as the site describes, high-ranking officials, still kind of the bumbling oafs of the show. Okay, so that's all of the primary character, other than Carol, his reveal later. That's all of the kind of character reveals. And now we get into some interesting shots. So this first shot we have coming up is with Reiji kneeling on the ground, right? Is that him? Maybe not, because he's wearing a EFP, GFP uniform, and Reiji does not. Reiji has his own kind of like red.
Do you think Reiji wears the uniform in the beginning, and then as the show, as he becomes, after Act 1 of whatever the first episode is, he's wearing his own jacket?
Well, see, this is the thing, because this character on the right, which I think are actually going to get the character scene for, is Rui Amu, who is from Setsuna, from Bushido's Earth, Lambda 8018. And so maybe this is, and this doesn't look like Setsuna either. This doesn't look like the person that is Gavan Bushido. This might just be another nameless character, and it's just not clear. But yeah,
she's definitely holding the sword, though.
Right. In her hand she has the Gavan blade, which all of the Gavans have. It's seemingly kind of like the primary weapon of Bushido because he uses a sword, but we've seen shots and magazine scans with Luminous using it. We've seen Infinity having the blade as well. But she is holding it. Maybe she is offering. Maybe this is giving Setsuna kind of the role of Gavan. How Gavan is picked, how all of that works, again, a complete mystery so far. So here we go, Rui Amo. I don't know how to pronounce her last name there based on how Japanese works. But Rui is that character, again, a very famous actor in Japan, Anna Irayama. Okay. Another shot of Reiji. This jacket is cool, Eric. You're gonna have to get one of these. I think you're gonna have to get this jacket.
It's on him. It's a little too short. Like the I know it's a character detail. Probably it speaks to his character. The T-shirt is a little too long for him.
Yeah,
like if he's got to tuck in that shirt, man.
He's got to tuck in that shirt. I love.
But it's probably a character detail too.
So here we go. We have Bushido here in human form, unmasked, fighting more human villains. This one with kind of a robotic arm attachment, which we also see Luminous fighting one of these later on. But very interesting here we've seen villains that are just dudes in suits, like not Gavan suits, like actual human, tuxedos. We get this guy with this hat, and he's got this robotic arm, fighting Bushido. Once again, back to Kiki and what is the name of this character? Kotobuki, looking at something off in the distance. Here we go. Yep, as you mentioned here, Kotobuki getting in on the action. She has her own pistol that looks nothing like the Gavarian trigger. So
and there was a third poster they've done,
right.
teaser posters showing one character in black and one character in white. One had the Gavarian trigger, and the other had
Had
that gun. So
this-
that was just relating to them.
Yeah, that's their character poster there. This is interesting. We've got a standoff here between civilians, the GF, and there's GFP standing in between civilians on one end, and then seemingly, I don't even know who these people on the other side are. Scientists, like they all have like a scientist's kind of robe on, but they just have regular clothes underneath. I have zero clue what is going on in this scene. Okay, here we have a shot of around someone's neck an Emor gear, which is the kind of capsules that they'll sell by the dozens and dozens that house the different types of energy. And this
Which
is,
looks to me like like a recasting of the full bottles from Build.
oh, 1000%. You even pointed out to Gavan Blade, what was it, the Don Brothers sword, like it being
Yes,
just,
the Gavan blade is just a 100% recast of the I forget what it's called in Don Blas. It's the sunglasses sword.
yeah.
They didn't even change the shape.
Yeah, they're clearly just reusing materials, which is great. Reuse and recycle. I'm all for it. I got no problem with that. This doesn't seem to also be any character that we know of or that has been revealed based on their clothing. So who knows who this is? This also the Emerald gear seems to be like a neutral version. Like it doesn't have an emotion tied to it yet, so it seems to kind of like be an empty battery, and I'm sure if you press the top then it switches. That's how that toy's gonna work, right?
Yeah, and this could probably be double is probably my closest analog, but probably a thing where they sort of fight a person with bits on them for a while. Like you were talking, like they're just fighting people with like extra bits on them, and then at a certain point
They transform
into the
into a full
monsters.
monster, which we are about to see here. We get a full kind of monster, full suit. This is definitely actually the same spot as this, right? This is the outside the same building as this kind of confrontation with the police is happening. Seemingly there'll be a swell of emotional energy. It's also happening later at night as well. But this is the same location, but with this monster. Interesting design for the monster. Very classic, very simple, which is something that you can't say about a lot of the monster designs of like a modern Sentai show. This looks very old school. What are your guys' thoughts here on this monster design?
Strikes me as possibly just another like this is the first monster we're gonna fight in the premiere. Like it is. This screams episode 1 baddie.
Oh, 1000%. Yeah.
But I mean the red eye seems to be like a weak point, and trying to figure out like what. I mean, like a lot of monsters, not all of them, but a lot of monsters are usually rooted in something. This looks to me like a mix of like a couple ground animals mixed with like fauna. Like I've seen some like vegetation that has like the spikes on them.
Sure.
Like I've heard that some Toei creature designers have resorted to using AI for monster inspirations.
Ooh,
Unfounded,
okay.
unfounded, but also I don't know if that's true for this production. But I have heard that these guys have to create so many monsters for every episode, and you're talking about like 50 episodes a season. So kind of not surprised if they're starting to use generative AI for creature designs. But who knows? This looks to be a little more original, a little more well, obviously handmade. But yeah, episode
And
1 bad guy. This screams episode 1.
the also the eye looks very much like the eye I'm thinking of like Return of the Jedi at Jabba's palace, the robot that like comes out and like blinks.
Yeah.
It looks a bit like that too. Which maybe they did use generative AI, and that was one of the things it scraped. Yeah, we actually do see this monster again a little bit later as well, so we'll talk about it again. This is the most fascinating shot here. So this is Reiji fighting a bunch of seemingly clowns. We've got, but I didn't notice this until now. We've got Setsuna in the background there, kneeling on the ground, seemingly kind of like defeated, and then like Reiji comes in to save the day. And yeah, they're wearing these masks, and they're dressed a little bit like clowns. They've got the same kind of silly hat as the guy that Bushido was fighting earlier that we saw. And then it cuts to them having their arms interlocked, and then boom, he's Gavan. And there we go. There we get a better look at the mask. So yeah, this is very interesting. These just seem to be regular dudes.
Yeah, so the shot there where he changes immediately, that was a thing that Gavan used to do all the time. In that their transformation is actually a thing that is happening, and it happens very fast. So they say their Henshin phrase, which is Jochaku, and then uh, the armor appears immediately. And in the old Gavan, what they would always do is they'd be there's one scene where someone's like shooting, and then like Gavan like catches the bullet or something like that, and they're like, "How did you get your armor on this fast?" And then it would go rewind back, and the narrator would explain like, it only takes 50 milliseconds for the armor to be beamed down from the ship to Gavan himself. And then they would show it like in slow motion, like he do his stuff, and then the armor would appear, and like the bullet would still be flying and stuff like that. So it looks like that is maybe in the first episode or a few episodes, they'll do that same thing where like, oh my God, this is Gavan. Where did that armor come from? It's like, this is how it works.
Was it intentional that Deca Ranger did that so often too? Like, do you think? Because if you ever watch Deca Ranger, they explained every little thing up to the finale. Like even in the finale, they're explaining how everything works. And that you describing that to me reminds me of like, oh yeah, they also made Deca Ranger, which is their own like space sheriff Sentai.
Yeah, I was about to say it's also space cops.
True, very true. Okay. Now we get a look at all of the different Emerald Gears that we're going to be collecting, not only in the show, but all the little kids in Japan are going to be requesting. The first one being, this is Emerald Gear Gekaido, the Anger Emerald Gear that Infinity uses. Next we have, and as you can see, it kind of transforms from that neutral state that we saw the Emerald Gear that was hanging around the neck. You know, it has that same design, and then it switches to the kind of emotional face. And this is the Emerald Gear Hisu, which is Bushido. It's the Sorrow Gear. And then the final one we get a look at is Emerald Gear Kanki, or Joy. Jury's out on why the designs are the way they are. I mean, the thing is it's very cute and it sells to children. But that is the kind of very interesting aesthetic compared to the rest of the show. So obviously these are three of the many Emerald Gear that will be utilized throughout the show, I'm sure. And then here we go. Yes, we have the kind of robo transformation for Cosmo Gavarian from the ship into Cosmo Gavarian GCR, which is the robo, which is very neutral in terms of like color palette and design. Like it clearly isn't, you know, there isn't like tons of red on it, which makes me think that like all of the Gavans will be able to like utilize their own, and it's not just kind of like linked to infinity.
Is this like the cop cars for Tokusatsu? It's just like, oh, you just get a standard issue Robo.
Right.
You don't get a customized one to fit your own aesthetic. This is just standard police issue.
Yeah.
Mecha.
And then it does make me think that the additional ones will attach to this, right? Like the crane and the drill, and that's how you get like that injection of color and kind of personality.
Yep, and these also in one of the like toy catalogs or scans or something, they showed the additional ones being used in hand form as
Yes.
well
Yes.
by Infinity. So like the other versions of the ship, like the drill and the it's like drill, sword, laser, or something like that.
Mm-hmm. Crane.
Um,
Yeah.
crane and actually being used. So like maybe they attach onto the GCR in both the little gun form and the full robot form.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see.
We shall see.
But it is definitely one toned and definitely built to throw other
Things on top of it.
robot stuff on top of it.
Yeah, look at that. You can see on its left arm there, right of frame, the trigger of the gun just sticking
Yep.
out. A perfect place to maybe attach something to. Okay, then we're back in the Gavan ship. We have them looking out into that kind of desolate wasteland that we saw in the opening. We see Gavan from the back, which is interesting because there's not as much armor on the back of him. Up at the top by the shoulders, yes, but underneath that, it's just bare. And also the back of his helmet is mostly silver. So it's a very quick shot here. We get another image of AGI. We get this like little interstitial with a character being drawn. You know, an illustration of her as this kind of chibi character popping up. That's very Sentai coded for sure. Here we go. Our boy Carol, what is it? Vigilus, standing in again the kind of seemingly command center of the Cosmo Gavarian. They get their own character screen here. Same jacket, which seems to be makes me wonder whether the GFP operates as one unit across the entire multiverse, because the jacket is the same in each one.
Yeah, that's my guess, that the GFP is a multiversal organization, and then each like episode is basically the one dude and their robot going to another world and being like, hey, Morgie is doing something over here, and whoever is running the Gavans, if it's Carol there, is like, all right, I'm gonna send Bushido to this Earth. Go there and figure it out.
I know it's not. I know they're probably not a multiversal organization, but it screams to me like the Green Lantern Corps in DC. They're
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally. Okay, another shot of Gavan. And here we get some really cool action shots. And we get some text. Bushido fighting that monster. Which it looks a lot more blue in this shot, whereas it looked a bit black in the other. I don't even know if it's the same one. This might be one of those cases that we see sometimes where maybe this isn't the episode 1 monster. Maybe this is just like another thing that shows up throughout the course of the season, and they reuse the same suit every now and again, and that maybe it's a slightly different change of color.
These costumes just look better and better, man.
Yeah,
every time I see them.
Yeah, the action shots in this trailer are like pretty fucking sick. So a new heroic saga. Here we go. We have Luminous fighting another guy with a robot arm attachment. Like this shot is like so like that's so sick. Um, uh, you running to the screen, holding the Gavarian trigger. A new heroic saga is born. All the final words we see. Here we go. So this seems to be the fourth Gavan that we have had teased. Gavan Death, that people are assuming is Carol Comvigilus's alter ego. Jury's out on what this guy's deal is.
I mean, clearly, he or they is a past Gavan, perhaps one that fallen in battle. You see the battle damage on the face there and on the
where
side.
That's some of my favorite shit, especially in like Sentai Power Rangers, where the visor is broken and you just see like that eye popping through. Although we don't see that face, it just seems to be damaged to the point where a layer underneath is exposed.
I mean, we already have an android, so perhaps this Gavan is also not human.
It's very possible. Very possible. Okay, then we get, this is AGI kind of tucking her hair back, revealing this earring. Interesting shot to include. I'm sure that will have some plot relevance at some point. Here we go. Gavan also fighting the same monster in the same location. This seems to be all tied in with the clown men running around that they were fighting. How they relate to this dude, got no idea. Another quick shot of GCR in action. Here we get all of the robos flying through space, all of the Cosmogavarians. Yeah, it's definitely an attachment. You see that, and it comes under. So it's the same ship, just with a different like thing affixed to the front. Another great shot of Luminous with this guy having the arm, the robot arm.
But that's a different arm.
It's
the other one's it's silver and rounded.
Could be multiple of them.
It's a different arm from the one Bushido was fighting, but it is, I think, the same arm here. Yeah, it's the same arm as in this shot where Luminous is fighting this guy in a quarry. Glad to see the quarry's back.
What? The quarry? No.
Here we go. Let's get back to it. So, yep. There we go. Same arm. And then we have Bushido in this kind of space, potentially the Maku space, this desolate wasteland, facing off against not only that monster with the kind of spiky head, but then also the guy with the big silver robot arm in the weird hat. And he's facing off against them in this liminal location. What's going on here? Who the heck knows? Who the heck knows? Then one of the final shots, Gavan Infinity wielding both the Gavarian blade and the Gavarian trigger. Then we get a shot of the GCR Robo running through, which we rarely ever see, but inside somewhere that is exploding. So, got no context for what's going on here at all, but it's the robot running through. Then we have Rakia and Patran reacting to seemingly some news that maybe they're seeing on a screen somewhere. Patran drinks coffee. Good to know.
It's like, oh my God, Patran. It looks like Gavan Infinity came to that place that we told Reiji about earlier. That's so weird.
We could write these easy peasy. Gavan firing the Gavarian trigger. We get a shot of Rui looking concerned. Gavan fighting the spiky monster once again. Daisuke and AGI having a goof. Gavan lining up the shot. Here we go. This is what you were talking about earlier. So the way that it seems to work is that they They move the leg part of the gun to the side so they have room to insert the gear into the back of the gun. And yeah, he's running down here, and this seems to be the transformation happening. Jochaku, which they translate to evaporation, which there's been a lot of debate over what Jochaku translates to online.
Yeah, so like Joe Chaku itself has classically been like electroplate, which is just an entirely made up thing. The word itself, the actual word, is like a vaporization, evaporation, or something like that.
Right.
So the idea, I guess, that they were supposed to do in the past was sort of the armor was on the ship, and the armor was being dispersed into particles and then beamed down to Gavan and put onto him, which was the electroplating. But I guess they were like, well, it's the word means evaporation. The armor is being teleported onto the Gavans. So let's put both of those together. Evaportation. Like it's an ugly little word. Like it doesn't.
Oh, I see.
I thought that was just a typo.
I didn't even notice that it wasn't even spelled correctly.
Yes. So yes, it's like evaporation plus teleportation. Evaportation.
It doesn't even say tation. It says taon. I don't know what they're up to. Oh man,
yeah. So my guess is, and again, this is the kind of thing that I'm talking about, like official subs. Like someone came up with something with a word. They're like, what are we gonna do here?
Right.
Evaporation, teleportation. Let's put them all together. Sure, that's good enough. And they spelled it wrong. But someone put work into making an English official translation, which is not something that I think that you would do if you weren't ever going to bring this to an English audience. And I don't know what that word is for other languages.
Just to put it in perspective too, imagine how often like American media gets translated and adapted overseas. But even like American media maybe has like a made up word. Like think about Game of Thrones. The only reason why I'm thinking about this is because I'm watching screeners for Night of Seven Kingdoms, which is pretty good. But like remember in Game of Thrones when Daenerys would say Dracarys, and it's just like good luck translating that around the world. Dragonfire in whatever word. So I think it's funny that like we're facing the same dilemma on the flip side. Like how do you translate?
Maybe it's
like
the one thing holding back the simulcast news. They can't figure out what this word means.
I genuinely thought evaportation was just a typo. I genuinely thought it was just a typo.
That's so funny.
I did not know that it was an attempt to create a word.
So now that we have all this information, we have this trailer, we've seen the characters, how are we feeling about this show? Personally, I am so jazzed for it. I know people are very sad that Super Sentai is done, but like, this really feels like a pretty awesome injection. And again, another great way to jump into this franchise for newcomers, right?
Genuinely very excited. The aesthetics of the show are top tier. Like I love, like I've said it before, but like Gavan Infinity is just like my personal aesthetic and color scheme. The red, black, silver with like this slick, cool. Everything about it is top grade. I don't know if this is gonna. I really don't know if the show is gonna find an audience overseas. Like Kamen Rider continues to struggle, or Tokusatsu in general continues to struggle breaking into the anime market. That they're clearly seeing potential in, but like maybe it's just my own friends being stubborn. But like none of my anime friends are still interested in live action stuff. I don't know why. I share them links like, oh, here, check it out. It's right here on YouTube. But it's just not yet catching on, and I don't know if it's just going to take a lot more time. But hopefully, hopefully, really is just a matter of time. I don't know. Excited for the show. Oh, the one thing I did want to say is that I think for existing Super Sentai audiences, this is going to be a pretty seamless transition. Everything about the trailer just it just feels like a continuation rather
Mhm.
than a complete ground up reboot. Everything from the shot composition, the way the blocking, the look of everything, the production design, it just feels like a different Super Sentai. So I think I don't think Super Sentai fans are going to be in mourning too long. At
No.
least is my understand is my guess. I think
Yeah.
Gavan is gonna check off a lot of boxes that I think Super Sentai fans are going to be yearning for.
Yeah, most of the change seems to be in the form of sort of the narrative, I'll call them writerizations, in that instead of a team being a team, you got so far three different folks
Mhm.
who all share the same powers and will probably work together, but generally do their own thing. But even then, like, uh, Sentai has played with that before. Dawn Brothers is the most recent example. Well, actually, Goju sure is probably the most recent
Mhm.
example. Um, in that they are a team, but sometimes not really. But yeah, like Dawn Brothers, like they had the extra two who were rarely a part of the team, and in fact, like Black, like they didn't know who Black was for like pretty much the entire, was it the whole show? Something like that. But yeah, like they're each of their own sort of unique thing as opposed to a full team, but they will work together.
Mhm.
So
I do worry that there's a little bit of redundancy in that, it does feel also Kamen Rider coded as well. And with
Mhm.
Kamen Rider still going strong and thriving pretty well, I do worry that we're getting some of the same, I guess, artistic beats from Kamen Rider as well. But who knows? Maybe
Yeah.
the show will really stand on its own. I don't know
That
yet.
that that is my one not concern, but the one thing I will find interesting is that yeah, it is leaning more into what has made Kamen Rider so popular, and will they kind of cannibalize each other because now it's like, oh, we're selling similar toys, we're doing similar things with design. We'll see. And to put to your point, Eric, regarding like finding an audience, I think the kind of uphill battle Tokusatsu still has in finding an audience outside of Japan. People not being interested in live action. I think kind of the goofy. It's a bit of a for some people, I think for more general audiences, it's a bit easier to swallow all of this goofy shit when it's an animated show and not live
Absolutely.
action, and like
Yeah.
the marriage of those elements and live action is makes it feel a bit more childish. I also think that the biggest problem though is just kind of like marketing and distribution. I feel that like for as great as it has been that it is just on Tokusatsu, Kamen Rider is just on Tokusatsu's channel, how much more successful would that show be? How much easier would it be for it to find an audience if it was on an actual streaming service? Like if Crunchyroll, for example, had the streaming rights where it is not just like lost in the ether of YouTube. It is, the at the destination of where this tangential audience of anime fans go to consume anime, and boom, what's this? Oh, live action anime? Like, I'll check it out. I think they have a distribution issue, and maybe that's also part of the reason why Gavan Infinity's simulcast news hasn't been announced, or they're kind of holding off because whereas with Kamen Rider, and it already has kind of a bit of an audience outside of America, and they can just seamlessly put that on there. This is for all intents and purposes, a brand new show. They really want to kind of rejuvenate uh, the the Red Hero franchise. If Super Sentai was the first iteration of that, right? They really want to make a big splash. So maybe they're still just trying to figure out what is the best way to target the demographics that we're going for and get it out there. And maybe
yeah,
they're thinking Tokusatsu isn't the answer for this show.
yeah, and that's part of the. I mean, Project Red. Uh, as we're talking about Gavan Infinity, of course, we're focused on Gavan Infinity, but Project Red as a whole is not necessarily just going to be like there won't be a following Gavan
Right.
necessarily. It's entirely possible that the next one could be a redo of Portress or one of the other,
Kabutak.
yeah, or something like that. Like uh, the banner of Project Red is basically allowing them to, like, hey, what else do we have in our catalog? Or maybe the next one isn't even a callback to anything. It's just like, hey, give me a new idea
And
for a Toku show.
they could set that up in this show as well, because the other thing that, going into Gavan Infinity, the Project Red banner of it being, what is it, Records of Extraordinary Dimensions. I thought it would be like, okay, every season, every show is going to look at a different universe. But this is already a multiversal show with them hopping between parallel universes and dimensions. So they're already leaning into this kind of multiverse universe kind of storyline, which could set up the next thing, right? It could be we introduce the next show, which is not Gavan, and it's separate, and it's, but it exists within the same multiverse, because really every multiverse is the same multiverse. That's how a multiverse works. Yeah.
And my tinfoil hat theory is that that's their backdoor to Super Sentai in 10 years.
Right.
That's how they get back to that.
Yeah, exactly. So still lots of information to come. Hopefully, like I said, even by the time this episode is on, you're listening to this podcast or watching it on YouTube, there might even be more information, which we'll obviously cover in the next episode. But yeah, I think this cast looks really cool. I think emotions and everything is a really neat kind of gimmick for the season, despite it maybe being a bit at odds with the rest of the show's aesthetic. But I guess we'll have to wait and see until episodes start coming out. Eric and Mike, thank you so much for joining me. Eric, where can people find you on the internet?
You can find me on, trying to leave Twitter, but you can find me on Twitter at EricFrancisco24. You can find me on Blue Sky, same handle. And you can also find my work on Esquire.com.
And Mike, what about you?
You can find me on Blue Sky at mhwilliams.bsky.social. As I always say, I'm going to change that to something more memorable, but I still have it.
And I am Tom Caswell Games on pretty much every platform, so go find me there. Please consider subscribing to the channel. Consider, subscribing to the even if you're watching the YouTube video, go subscribe to the podcast on your preferred podcast platform, because it just helps create more awareness of this show, and we really want people to enjoy Tokusatsu. I think a lot of people who aren't aware of the genre could get a real kick out of Gavan Infinity. Hopefully they make it easy for people to access outside of Japan. We will wait and see on that. God willing. But until next time, everyone, hope you have a great weekend, week, wherever you're listening, and we'll catch you on the next one.